Hi, Kevin Purcell with GottaBeMobile.com, and in front of me I've got the Honor 8 from Huawei, the Huawei Honor 8. This is an Android 6.0 phone, and it is somewhat of a budget phone. It only costs $400 unlocked. In other words, you don't get it from any of the carriers. Instead, you would get it either directly from Huawei or some third party. It's a fairly nice phone, as you see. It's fairly compact at a 5.2-inch screen with a fairly somewhat narrow bezel along the sides. But we want to give you a look at this phone. We're actually doing a giveaway with Gotta Be Mobile, and so this is part of our review. Now, if you don't know anything about Huawei, this is a company that made the Nexus, I believe, 6P, and so it's kind of come into its own. It's become a much bigger company here recently, and we've reviewed a few Huawei phones in the past. Most recently, I think it was the Elite, and so we got a chance to see this. This has become a fairly popular phone now. Just kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. Here's the power button and the volume rocker on one side, and then over here on the other, there's nothing but the dual SIM port. It also, you may, or there you go, you can see that a little bit better there. When you open up that port, that tray rather, it slides out and it's got room for two SIMs, so that way you could have it on two different lines, or if you were a traveler going international, you could have a domestic SIM and then put a international SIM in it. But one of the SIM slots also doubles as a place to put your SD card, so you can put a SD card and a SIM in that one slot. Now, if you notice along the bottom, of course, it's got the headphone jack, and it's also got a USB Type-C port for charging. It charges pretty quickly, and then the fairly, the decent sounding speaker. It's not great, but it's okay. In fact, it's a little bit dim, to be quite honest with you. And then, of course, across the top, we've got the speakers, or the microphones. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this phone, aside from the fact that it's got the fingerprint reader on the back, some people really like that. Others, like me, don't care for it that much. But you notice it also has two cameras. And that's one of the unique features about this phone, is this dual camera system. One of these, a 12 megapixel color camera, and then the secondary camera is really just a black and white camera designed to capture light and to be able to tell distances. And so the purpose of that is, first of all, it gets really, it captures pretty good low light photos. If we were in a dark room, I could turn down the lights, I could turn on the camera, and it gets fairly decent low light photos. They look almost like an average brightness. Secondarily, it also is good for portraits when you want to blur out the background. Some higher end cameras like your DSLR can handle that if you open up the aperture quite a ways. And so it gives you that. They call it bokeh, B-O-K-E-H. And the new iPhone 7 Plus camera does this as well, or will do this as well with a software update soon. This is a feature that Huawei's already got going on this phone. Now, we'll give you a look at the software on the camera. By the way, it also has a front-facing camera. It sounds nice. You look at the screen, it's a 1080p screen, which is a little bit lower resolution than the competition. It's running Android 6.0, and one thing that is nice about Huawei is they updated the security patch for the most recent September 2016 security patch. That's when I'm recording this video, and we should hope that it'll keep getting those updates. Secondarily, it only runs Android 6.0. That makes it 2 generations behind. We just got Android 7.0, then 6.1 came in between those two. And Huawei doesn't have a good record of updating their phones, these budget phones, and so I'm not expecting to see Nougat on this phone, maybe ever, not anytime soon. Huawei calls their software interface EMUI, or EMUI is the name for it. Of course, it you can see that it's performance, it's decent. It'll slide fairly quickly. It'll pop up. Let's see, I'll open up Just Watch. Notice that responded almost instantly. It's got good memory management in it. It's got good battery management. The overlay that they put on top of Android is it's okay. Some people don't like it, and you'll notice like the built-in apps. I'm not real crazy about any of their built-in apps. Most people don't use these very much. It's got a mirror mode, so let's see. I haven't even used that. See, hi. Calculator. I mean, it's basic tools. A few of the tools are a little bit better. Smart controller, compass, recorder, flashlight. It's they're okay. They're decent. The gallery app is, nothing to be excited about. What I do is, I have this in its stock form right now for you to see it. But when I was using this most, I just put most of those apps in a folder by itself and ignored it. You'll notice the user interface, it's kind of like the iPhone in that it puts all your apps on the home screen, and there's no app drawer anywhere. Now you can, because it's Android, you can download, another launcher from the App Store and run with that, which makes it a lot more convenient. We'll show you the settings. Here's some notifications. You clear all those out. You have to tap and then tap again to get to these shortcuts. So that doesn't really make them shortcuts. That's a disappointing feature. In fact, I wish that, when you opened this up, you'd bring it down and there'd be like a row above here. So you could really get shortcuts. Now, when there are no notifications, the shortcuts opens first. But if you have any notifications showing, it's going to go there first. So, we'll go into settings, give you a chance to look at what the settings screen looks like. And so that's EMUI or EMUI or whatever they call it. I don't know how to pronounce it necessarily. This phone has a very long battery life. You can see that it has 24% left. I have not charged this phone in 2 days and haven't used it a whole lot over the last day or so. But if you use it normally, if I use it normally, which is to say somewhat heavily, not incredibly heavily, but somewhat heavily, it'll easily get me a day and all the way through the business day of my second day. And a lot of times it would get me a full 2 days. Sometimes, in fact, there's one time I left it charged and it got me into the third day, morning of the third day, before I really needed to charge it up. Plus the fact that it's got a fast charging system, so you put it on a charge for about 30 minutes and you're going to get at least 50% in the battery. So the battery life is great on it. Performance is really good. The GPU, I'm not a big gamer, so I didn't really test this out that much, but I've read that others have said the GPU is a little on the weak side. Again, the screen resolution is slightly low. You can notice it is somewhat colorful and fairly bright. We're in a bright room and you can see it easily. The speakers are a little bit soft and muddled, but when you plug into headphones, the sound is decent and it sounds good. It's a fairly fast phone. I like it. I'm pretty pleased with it so far. If I had purchased this phone for $400, I would be satisfied with it. Most people, that's what they'll do. They'll buy it for around $400. You might be able to find it a little bit less than that. And it comes with 32 gigabytes onboard storage plus the SD card. I think will go up to 128 or maybe 256. I put a 64 gig card. That's usually plenty for me. The camera on this phone is pretty decent. Now, if you slide over, you'll get all the modes here. And it's got some pretty good modes. It's Pro mode, lets you change things like the ISO and, the exposure, compensation, all of these things. You can also go to a Pro Video mode, which is nice. Panorama mode, the HDR mode does a nice job. Beauty face, those will kind of smooth the face of people that you're taking photos of, so that the blemishes won't look as bad. It has a document setting mode, which I like because I use my phone as a scanner an awful lot. It has a slow-mo mode. This is a watermark mode. We'll put a watermark on your photo. Of course, the night shot is for low light, which that second lens does. And then you can also add some audio to a photo with that. Time lapse, it'll take a shot and then take a shot, and it'll keep doing that for a while. Panoramas, that'll stitch together a whole bunch of shots. The good food, that's, the Instagram. We used to always put stuff on Instagram. Or at least I used to. I don't use it for that much anymore. If you go to this side, you get all the settings, which it's got a lot of features and settings that you can change. And so, the resolution, go from a 12 megapixel 4x3 to a 9 megapixel 16x9, which is a little bit lower resolution. Add GPS, give it a grid if you want. So these are all the different features that it has. Now, it has a neat feature in that if you double tap we'll go turn it off, and then let's double tap on the volume button. And notice it came up and instantly took a shot. So get your camera ready before you do that. The other thing is, on the back, we're going to go ahead and turn it off again. On the back, if I double tap that, notice it comes up in camera mode as well. So to prove that to you, I'll turn it off. And there you go. All right. So the camera's decent. Now, on occasion, I don't know if I can make it do it now, but on occasion, notice that slight lag, about, fraction of a second. Sometimes it would actually be a little bit longer than that, which was kind of disappointing. So, the camera is a mixed bag. It's really good. It's got some really nice features to it, and actually takes fairly decent photos. They're not great. They're not incredibly sharp, but they're good for a camera phone. If you're just kind of a snap shooter, you don't want to take serious photos, then it's fine. Otherwise, you'd probably rather have a more expensive phone with a much better camera, like the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 or S7 Edge, or the iPhone 7 Plus or 6S Plus, which are some of the best cameras out there. But for $400, and with the few weaknesses that I've mentioned, the slow shutter release, the operating system that I'm not crazy about, the fact that they don't open or update very often, and poor performance for gaming. If those aren't big issues for you, and you don't want to have to pay a monthly payment fee, and you can afford $400, then get this phone. It's nice, the Huawei Honor 8. I would give it a recommendation with some qualifications. But this has been Kevin Purcell for Gotta Be Mobile, and I thank you for watching.